Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Dan Dawson Show. So, before CHAZ, whatever it's called, had the opportunity to get shut down, I did make a trip there. So, let me tell you how this trip started. I was posting on my personal Facebook about this CHAZ. Has to stop. It's ridiculous. What's going on here? One of my buddy who's liberal doesn't believe in guns and blah 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 blah. But of course, he's probably never had a wild boar charge him or been mugged or anything like that. Typical liberal. Well protected middle income households, and now their kids have grown up but no discipline and just feel that the world is owed to them. So anyway, he gets on there and he goes, I'm saying, oh, it's a nightmare and why would anybody go there? And, people are going to end up getting hurt, which, if you'll notice, I was proved right. People not only got hurt, people died up there. So he goes, well, you can't say that without having seen it for yourself. I want to go, so why don't you go with me? I was like, that's a good idea. But my thought was, one, I'm going armed, heavily armed, because Dan Dawson doesn't leave the house without a pistol at least, and a knife. And so I invited a couple of friends, so all four of us went. We get there, and let me tell you my impressions. It looked like what would happen if you had a few kids and you left for the weekend. My first observation was they're destroying downtown Seattle. This is ridiculous. My second observation, I saw their little gardens. It was 2, 3 of them, about a 6-foot diameter, which any rancher or farmer knows. Both of my grandparents had livestock. Both my grandfathers had livestock. They had humongous gardens, and it was just to feed small families, right? A 6-foot in diameter garden that you started 2 weeks ago is not going to feed anybody. Saw their security force, which honestly, they were fairly nice to me, and I didn't really have any trouble. But not many people are going to give a 6-foot, 240-pound black man carrying a pistol a lot of trouble. So the security force, number one, was a joke. I met this one guy, and he was a really nice guy, so I really had no issues with him. He's really nice to me. But he's walking around as security. He's carrying a 1911. All of you that know the 1911 and Dan Dawson is a gun guy, I'm a Texan. I don't know what you expect of me. Of course I'm a gun guy. But he's carrying it hammered down in his holster. And my first thought was, that's not loaded. And if it is loaded, by the time you get that double action into play, you're going to be coughing blood. I met their medical team, who looked like a bunch of high school teenagers. Actually, one I was like, oh, so you're a nurse or EMS? No, we got medical training here. I'm like, what? As a former combat medic, I can tell you there's no medical training you received at CHOP or /CHAZ that's going to prepare you for a real life situation. So that whole premise was ridiculous. You had people yelling at each other, starting fights. We saw, I think, 1 or 2 arguments while we were there. People trying to squash other people's freedom of speech. Well, I kind of thought that was the whole point. You're trying to make a point. You're trying to have freedom of speech. So we walked around for a while. It was boring. I will say this, though. That baseball field has really nice turf. It's really comfortable. I really liked it. It was when I went, it was the size of maybe half a city block. The problem as we walked out, walking back to the car, you're looking around. You see all these windows all these buildings with broken windows. The Ferrari dealership down there, they have the impact-proof glass. Their windows were broken out. All the cars are gone. I imagine the owner moved them out beforehand, which is very smart. But you see all these businesses and their broken windows. And what I kept thinking was, as a small business owner, how many people risked everything to start those businesses just to have someone's unruly kids, because that's all they are, the whole Antifa, the whole Black Lives Matter, and I'll have a video on that later, just a bunch of unruly kids. But that's what I thought. I mean, how many people sacrifice time with their kids, grandkids to start and keep those businesses going so they could build something for their future generations. And it was just kind of really, really disappointing. Yeah. It wasn't a wasted trip because it opened my eyes to things. I would love to hear your input on this. And if you've been to Chopper CHAZ, let me know what you thought about it. But it was just really disappointing. And like I said, later on, I was proved right. Was it 3 or 4 people shot? 2 people did. Might have been more people shot. I'm not even sure. And it was just really kind of, why would anybody participate in that? I'll tell you why. Because there are really kids who've never been told no. Which will lead me into another video later on I want to do called Trump is the disciplinarian parent and the Democrats are the parents that always say yes, which is why we have what we have today. So thank you for tuning in to the Dan Dawson Show. Make sure to catch my next episode.